The first method we're going to use to upgrade Drupal is the patch method. Now, we covered how to apply a patch to a module in a previous video, and patching the entire Drupal codebase is actually very similar. It's the same command that we're going to use. We're just going to get the patch from a different place. Now, I find this method to be the simplest way to upgrade Drupal since it's a single-step process. And one major benefit of it is that it will retain any changes you've made to core Drupal files. Although those probably are pretty minimal, or should be minimal, it still makes the process of upgrading easier if you need to integrate some of those changes. Now, this method isn't officially supported by Drupal.org. Instead, the patches can be found on a site maintained by a Drupal contributor, Bernhard First. Now, if we go to the site, you can get there by following the URL buildamodule.com/core-patches. This is simply a redirect to the site. And you scroll down, you'll see a list of instructions on how to apply the patch, and then below is a set of patch files for Drupal 7 and for Drupal 6. And each of these patches upgrades from one minor version to the latest version of Drupal. So right now we're on Drupal 7.7 and we need to upgrade to 7.8. So this is the file that we need to download. Now I'm going to go ahead and download this patch by clicking on it, and I'm going to save it. After you navigate to the Downloads folder, go ahead and copy the patch file and paste it inside of the root directory of your Drupal site. Now, before we run the patch, we should make sure that we're up to date with version control on our site. So I'm going to go to the command line, and I'm going to go ahead and do a git status. Now we have a set of files that we added from a previous video for the advanced help module. So I'm going to go ahead and add all of these by using git add advanced help / and then a star to indicate everything that's within that folder. Now if we do a git status again, we'll see all of those files listed in our staging area. Let's go ahead and commit this. The commit message is upgraded advanced help module. I'm going to hit enter. Okay, let's do a git status again. And we have our tarball for our module still there. Let's go ahead and remove this. I'm going to go ahead and copy the path, and I'm going to do the command line remove, which is rm, and then paste in the path. And now when we do a git status, we'll see that we're good to go. We're totally clean. This is important to do because as we make the changes to Drupal core, we want to make sure that we can identify what those changes are between different revisions of our site. Now, even though we know that this upgrade is relatively minor, we might want to do this on a separate branch in our Git repository so that any changes that we make and any testing we do can be done in parallel with the main development branch. So let's go ahead and create a new feature branch by doing git checkout and then passing the b parameter, and we'll call it feature upgrade 7.8. I'm going to hit enter. This switches us to that branch. So now we need to go ahead and navigate to the root of our Drupal site. Now in previous videos, we navigated to the contrib folder. Let's go ahead and find out where this is exactly by using the pwd command. So we're in the site's all modules contrib directory. Let's go ahead and navigate up several levels. I'll do 4 levels here. And now if we do pwd again, you'll see we're in the root of our site. So this is where we can run our patch. Now before we actually run it for real, we can do a dry run to see if it will trigger any errors. And errors will get triggered in a patch file if, for example, there have been modifications made to the places where the patch file is going to make a modification. Then it's basically like a conflict when you're dealing with version control, except with a patch file, we need to resolve the conflicts before we actually run the patch. So the command we're going to use should look pretty similar to those of you who followed the previous patch video. We're using the patch command. We're again passing the p1 parameter, but then this new parameter here allows us to run the patch file without actually running it. This is dry run. It's a --dry -run, and then we have the left pointing arrow again and the name of our patch file. So now when we press enter, it runs through all of the files and will tell us if there were any errors in patching any of these files. If you scroll up, you can take a look and see that all of the patches went through okay. So at this point, we can go ahead and actually run our patch file. So I'm just hitting the up arrow key in order to pull in our previous command, and I'm going to remove the dry run part of the command. And it ran through and patched everything. And now if we wanted to see what changes were actually made, we could do a git diff and compare it with our previous revision. Now the first part of this diff shows us that there have been changes in the changelog, and this lists the changes that were made in 7.8. If you scroll down, you'll see that there were numerous ones there. And now if we continue to scroll down, we can see exactly what changes were made here. So for example, we have defined version 7.7 was replaced by 7.8. As we scroll down even more, we see some comments added, and we can keep scrolling to review all of the changes that were made in this particular version of Drupal. When we want to exit this, we can go ahead and hit Q. And let's go ahead and commit these changes so we have a state before we made the patch and after we made the patch. Now again, we should be on the feature branch that we created, especially for making this upgrade. So let's begin by doing a git status to take a look at what's changed. So we have a number of modified files. If we scroll up, we can see that there's actually quite a few. And then there's a few that haven't been added yet, that are not currently under version control. They're in the modules folder and the themes folder. And then here's our patch file. So probably the quickest way to add these in order to stage them for our commit is simply to add everything in the modules folder and everything in the themes folder. So I'm going to start by doing a git add modules and then / and a star to indicate everything within that folder. And then we'll do the same thing for the themes folder. So git add themes /star. And now if we do a git status again, we'll see that everything is modified and not everything is staged yet. We have a set of files that aren't currently staged here. But if we do a git commit with the A parameter, we can add both sets, both the staged and unstaged changes. So the command is git commit A in order to bypass the staging area. And then the message is upgraded Drupal from 7.7 to 7.8. And I'll go ahead and hit enter. And now if we do a git status again, we'll see that everything is tracked except for our patch file, which we can now safely remove. Let's go ahead and do that with the rm command. Okay, we'll do git status one more time, and we have nothing to commit. Our working directory is clean. All right, so we've just gone through a process of upgrading the Drupal codebase, and from here, we would move on to upgrading the database as well to match up with this version. But before we do that, we're going to take a look at how we would approach this using a more traditional upgrade method.